They are the largest European hotel group and a global heavyweight. Accor was founded in 1967 with the opening of the first Novotel in France. The company's prize portfolio includes the Mövenpick, the Sofitel, the Raffles, and the Fairmont, among others. A new identity is being rolled out that rests on delivering experiences beyond simply providing accommodation. And the Middle East is now a higher priority for hotel chains around the world. Dubai is a clear standout here, soaring to become the top destination in the region. The Emirate drew close to 16 million visitors in 2018, and with 40 hotels, Accor is positioning itself to reap the benefits of future growth. We speak to the CEO of Accor, Sebastien Bazin, in Dubai. Sebastien, thank you very much for joining us on At the Top.
Thank you for having me.
You took on the reins of a business you've described as a sleeping giant, as introverted. But where did you start? What was the first couple of things that you said, all right, this is what we're going to do now?
I started in August 2013. I had a plan. I was not too welcome to Accor because I was a financial investor and very much big mouth, critiquing too much. So I decided before I'm going to be out like the plan, I need to understand the company from the inside. I was a good outsider knowledge, but I didn't have the inside. So I didn't do anything for 3 months. I went to meet 20,000 people in 40 countries, people of Accor. And they told me, Sebastien, we don't know where the company is going. We're not French, so we don't have a right to speak. And why is everything decided in Paris? Thank God they love the brands. The first 3, you say, wow, I need to change my plan. So I changed 40% of what I written to the board. So the first decision we've made is make this company global, no longer French. So executive committee is made of non-French people, no longer any French expat making decisions on behalf of locals, more autonomy, more empowerment.
Was that really the toughest thing though? Because when you joined in 2013, you had a steep hill to climb.
Before you say something, you think twice, or actually 5 times, because the nature of your decision is far different from a decision you make in a financial world. The only implication of a bad decision when I was before at Colony or Penn Weber and others, it's a financial matter. You win or you lose money. When you make a decision as a corporate CEO, you embark thousands of people on their day-to-day life, on what they do, the way they act with owners and guests. So it gives you an obligation to reassess what you want to do. What works is heart. If you have your heart at the right place, whether it's an owner, government official, or an employee, team members, they actually feel it. So if you go from heart, stomach, brain, brains comes only third. If you start with the brains, you're dead.
I mean, speaking of risk-taking, over the last few years, you've sold a lot of property, and this is part of your strategy to go asset light, focusing on the branding and the management to generate that kind of revenue that you're looking for. How is that cash going to get deployed in your expansion push?
Well, we sold the real estate not because it was not a good investment. It's actually very nice asset allocation to be a hotel owner for many good reasons, against inflation, capacity to put leverage, and it's a good return asset. We sold it because we couldn't cope in the years ahead on investing into plumbing, electricity, renovation, and investing into a digital mobile app and into customer reservation system. You had to put your priorities right on what is best for this company to grow. The best is to be a service renderer and to invest into digital and to human capital. So couldn't do both. So we sold real estate for $7.5 billion, most of the real estate we had in Europe, 1,000 hotels. We deployed 2/3 of that money into acquisitions. So we went from 10% luxury segment to today 40% Raffles, Fairmont, Swiss hotels. And then we acquired Mövenpick, and then Rixos in Turkey, and then Aton in Chile, Peru, Colombia, and Mantis in South Africa, and Mantra in Australia. Not because I am M&A frenzy. I'm telling you, in the world of today, which is so complex, so difficult to assess, with dominant players in the digital natives, hospitality company like Expedia, like Booking, like Airbnb, they become dominant too fast. The only thing they respect is scale. So I don't want Accor to be number one in the world. That's irrelevant. I want Accor to be the best operator with the greatest market leadership in dedicated geographies. Happened to be the case in Europe and South America and Africa and Middle East and all Asia Pacific except China. Don't ever lose that leadership. So when you have a local operator seeking an alliance with you, just grab this opportunity because it makes your network deeper and better for the owners and for the guests. So
we'll flesh out the strategy shortly. In the meantime, though, just to wrap up on this point, how do you prioritize in terms of pushing more into mid-scale luxury on the one hand versus buying up home sharing accommodation, which is that difficult split that Bloomberg Intelligence, when they ran their analysis, also pointed out?
Yeah, of course. It's not a black and white decision. I can tell you one thing. It's economy mid-scale, cash flowing. It's actually a very good business, very little investment, good return for the owner, 10 to 12%, and works well up until a time. I'm just worried that you don't want to go too deeply into price-sensitive commodity product because that's where digital companies attack you the first. So I wanted to diversify, not to limit the growth, because we're still growing in economy mid-scale, but diversify into the aspirational, experiential, not price sensitive, which is upper upscale and luxury. So that's clear in my mind. Just be something for being too depending on one economy, which is Europe, which was 80% when I started. Europe is today 45%.
You look at Accor, and what stands out is that they're not a market leader in two of the world's biggest markets, and that is the United States and China.
And we will never be.
And your view is that you'll never be. You take the advantage that you have in your existing markets where you are a leader, which is most of the rest of the world. But isn't that a missed opportunity? I mean, let's face it, just in terms of scale.
Well, it's missed in a sense that the two largest hospitality markets on the planet happens to be China and America. So it's actually too bad I'm not in it. But just take a cold shower. Who cares? It's in the hands of 5 superly good American operators, and they're going to crush me if I go there. And China in the hands of 3 very good Chinese companies, they're going to crush me as well. So I might as well not compete with them. I want my brands to be visible over there, so I'm partnering with them. But I am the greatest recipient of Chinese outbound travelers and US outbound travelers. That is fine, don't you worry. You're never going to be the first in every market.
And you're also betting on Europe as a cornerstone in your future potential.
For one reason, which is extremely interesting. Since 1985, when we had actually numbers available, you had only 30 million travelers in the 1980s. Today you have 1.5 billion. Every year for the last 40 years, numbers show to you that half of people traveling end up in Europe. They go to Madrid, they go to London, they go to Paris, they go to Warsaw. So true benefit for us, we know every year we're going to take half of that 1.5 billion travelers. So just take advantage of it.
Do you worry that the globalization process that sort of dominated over the last couple of decades has begun to stall and is going to take the wind out of the sails of your industry?
You have 2 waves in my industry of mutation, which happened the last 20 years. You had the online platform, Expedia, Booking, Ctrip, and then you had the home sharing economy with Airbnb. 3rd wave started basically a couple of years ago with Amazon, with Google Home, those devices entering your home. Very likely, those devices will play and will probably talk to you what you don't ask them to talk to you, and will tell you, why don't you go to Dubai at the Pullman because it's going to be 40% cheaper, your wife needs it, your children needs it, and you can afford it. So all of a sudden, Google and Baidu and Alibaba and JD.com, those guys are entering the travel hospitality space, which they haven't done as of yet. Are they going to be disrupting the first wave, which is the OTA? How much is it going to be impacting me? Who's going to be suffering the first and the most? That's what I worry, and I spend some time. The benefit of my reading is that hotel industry hasn't been consolidated yet. There's still 2/3 of hotels on the planet mom and pops, not branded. Those independent hotel operators cannot cope with that uncertainty, because commission is being taken away from them or clients taken away from them. Mm-hmm. So before they die, they suffocate today. They knock on the door of the big guys, which is the Marriott, Hilton, Accor of the world, which is why we have this capacity to grow and make those alliances, because as tough as the world is, we have the balance sheet, the 300,000 talent to cope with it. They don't. So I have time to think. It's not the response you want from me.
Up next, find out what Accor Hotel's expansion plans are for Dubai, how they're planning to overcome challenges in the city.
The level of sophistication, the speed, the agility of decision makers in Dubai is far better than other places because of the governance bodies. So they decide something, it's happening. Don't ever bet against Dubai.
I want to talk a little bit about the Emirate here, get some of your reflections. How does the Emirate rank in your priority list?
Well, very high because of Dubai hub. The airline transport makes it that I guess people will go through there, and Dubai authorities are making sure that people will stay for a couple of nights. So I need to be a companion of that strategy because it's the right strategy. It's important in terms of business travelers. Leisure travelers is becoming more important for me because of all-inclusive rickshaws coming from ex-Soviet unions. But do I make an enormous difference, and I should not tell that to you, into more priority for me in Dubai versus what I can do in Brazil or what I do today in Australia? No, I would be lying to you if I'll tell you. I'm just saying the level of sophistication, the speed, the agility of decision makers in Dubai is far better than other places because of the governance bodies. So they decide something, it's happening. Don't ever bet against Dubai. That I can tell you. So just be there with them, understand what they want to build, which is also going into better, more mid-scale economy, more affordable. We've been there. We've been deploying EBs like mad here. And I think that was a necessity because it was too luxurious.
I mean, the natural follow-up is, what are your expansion plans for Dubai?
Well, we have 110 hotels. Well, in Dubai alone, we have 50 hotels. And we're going to be opening another 30 in the next couple of years. So when people talk about oversupply in Dubai, answer is yes, and we are at fault because we participate in that oversupply. But hospitality is a 10 to 20-year bet. So they are right. You're going to have more and more traffic here. There's been a storm, headwind for the last 3 years in a row. Even if it lasts another 3 years, Accor will be there. We never exited any country. And I actually like it when it's difficult because that's where you see and identify your friends. Accor never left a country. And they need me when it's tough. So, and I like tough environment.
Well, let's flesh that out because Dubai has followed an ambitious expansion plan,
Yeah.
and the construction and the new supply has weighed on the prices, but also, of course, outstripped demand, which hasn't been able to keep up. It's put pressure on your hotel revenues and for other groups as well.
But we've been there 15 years ago.
Yes, but you're in it again.
I know.
And the question becomes...
And it was solved like 3 years after it happened. Against all odds.
This is dragged, so this is the issue here. The question becomes, if the oversupply does not get absorbed in the near term, is there anything you can do? Or do you just have to wait it out?
Well, the first thing you do seriously is all the oversupply in the hand of investors. I'm not the investor, no longer. Accor decided to go asset light because I told you you can't invest in plumbing and in digital. So the risk is taken by the owner. Don't ever lie to him. He knows it's tough. He knows it's going to take maybe another 2 more years than expected to get to cruising speed. If you're transparent, then it's fine. You just are together in a difficult environment. And as a service provider, I can weather 10 years of storm. As an investor, it's maybe a different answer. But the Expo will probably be a big marker for Dubai in October of next year. And you never know. This country or this region has the means to basically seduce people. They have everything, from the sun to the beach, to the sea, to the digital companies, to the e-commerce, to the sophistication of decision makers, to the wealth, to the banks. So Dubai did not exist, God knows, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. So look at what they have done. So for me, I wish I can tell my investors, please guys, slow down on the new investments because it may not be the time. Who am I to judge? They know that country so much better than I do.
Well, you also pointed to Expo 2020. I
Yeah.
mean, what's your strategy there?
Be ready for the new loyalty program. We're going to be pushing that destination to a lot of our 300 million clients. It's going to be, in terms of culture, in terms of innovation, spectacular, as it always is. And Dubai is going to show muscles. So it's probably try to make sure people stay longer. My strategy is people will go to the Expo for 2 or 3 days. Make sure they visit other countries. I shouldn't be saying that I'm in Dubai. But they go in for Dubai tourism. Make sure you captivate them to go to Abu Dhabi, to the Louvre, and to go to other countries next to here. Because there's also a lot of wonders outside of Dubai.
Accor is also building a vision around augmented hospitality.
Yes.
And perhaps you can explain what you think that exactly is, and more importantly, how that could deliver new innovations for customers around the world.
Well, let's get back to what you and I talked about on the OTAs. It's costing you money to, I hate the word acquire, but that's how people speak about it, acquire clients, to get you first into the Accor network. I could pay Booking, Expedia, etc. 12, 11, doesn't matter percentage. But if I pay for you once, I don't want to pay for you twice. I want to make sure I can retain you. That's called loyalty. If I want to retain you, I need to follow you when you are in the city doing someplace else. You go into a restaurant, you go into a museum, you need a concierge. We bought Jean-Paul, which is the largest digital concierge on the planet. You may come back to Paris with your family for 5 days, but you can't afford to stay 5 days with 6 members of your family. You're going to be going to home sharing. Accor is the largest home sharing, basically, operator for luxury properties. We have 15,000 units in London, Los Angeles, New York, Paris, Milan. That way I keep my relationship with you, and you're happy that I guess I'm a care provider for you when you're in home sharing. So we irrigate a number of new businesses to retain you. So I call that basically creating a net around you. You're not obliged to use it, but at least you know it's an Accor ecosystem. That's augmented hospitality.
Coming up in the next part of our program, CEO Sebastien Bazin reveals 2 big challenges facing Accor hotels and how he plans to tackle sustainability. Plus, we ask how the hotel group is working to address diversity issues in the hospitality and travel industry.
Start with the easiest, which is pay equality. There is no reason on the planet why a woman for the same job should be paid less than a man. Not even one single reason. So Accor, we fixed it. For the last 6 years, now it's the same parity, same salary. Then there is, how do you help them to go up the ladder and to be really in charge?
Sebastien, let me get you to weigh in on a couple of other issues in the industry. Let's talk about diversity and equality, because the Women in Hospitality, Travel and Leisure 2020 report found that women make up only around a quarter of senior managers across the sector. What can be done to further reduce this gender inequality that's still pervasive in this business?
Enormous. And we have a big, which is why I'm here in Dubai today, we have called the RISE, which is the women engagement within Accor with 30,000 members. There's 2 things. Number 1 is start with the easiest, which is pay equality. There is no reason on the planet why a woman for the same job should be paid less than a man. Not even one single reason. So Accor, we fixed it. For the last 6 years, now it's the same parity, same salary. Then there is, how do you help them to go up the ladder and to be really in charge? We have today 35% of the GM in the world are women, but it's only 20% in the Middle East. But that 20% was 10% 3 years ago. So we're going fast on empowering women to take the helm of a hotel.
So have you set some goals then for yourself?
Oh yeah, we said we're going to be 50-50. At the executive committee today is less than 30%. Head of department is 60%. What matters for me the most is general managers. 100% of the wealth of Accor is in the hands of hotels, the 5,000 hotels of this company. We don't have any technology, we don't have any patent, nothing is created in home office. So give 50% of the general management to women and you're in a safe place. And we are today at 35, we meet again in a couple of years, I hope the number is going to be 42.
When it comes to sustainability, you've got the Planet 21 program. 2 big kind of issues that you're looking at include food and energy. Could you run us through 2 examples of how that program is making a difference?
Well, a lot of it is going to cleaner energy, to carbon-free buildings. So you start with the material that you're utilizing to build a property. And since we open a property every day, of course, we weigh in now much in advance on making sure they have the right material. And has to do with water consumptions, which means that I guess probably happens to you in this hotel at the Sofitel. We actually encourage you to keep the same towel for a couple of days. That means we don't have to clean it, means less detergent, less water, and you can reutilize it. Changing the linens. You can actually say, I don't need my linens to be changed every day. So we've been reducing energy consumption by 15% over the last 4 years. So that helps. Now you have to go to local procurement. There's so many fresh food and beverage within the local communities. That way you don't have to import them from different countries.
Let's go with a scenario where I'm keen to take over your job. Yeah. I know Bloomberg would hate me for it. I know you'd hate me for it.
No, I wouldn't.
Do I get any advice from you? What would you be your top piece of parting advice?
Fresh eyes. Come with nothing predetermined. It's anybody who is full of certitude is sure of falling. So the only advice, come who you are. Do things differently for me. And just make sure that I guess you look people in the eyes.
Okay, so when do I start?
You could be starting tomorrow morning because it's the last note. I said when I started, and people don't like when I keep repeating it, but I'm so serious about it. I am an architect here, and I always wanted to be an architect. The first 3 years was the foundation. You rebuilt the building and the infrastructure, geography, allocation of capital, real estate, and so forth. Now, every stores of this building is a new brand, a new geography, a new talent. And they're all different. They don't look alike. They probably don't have. Somebody is going to put more floors, and somebody is going to basically finish the roof, and it won't be me. Because being a CEO, after 9 years, 10 years, you have to walk away. Because then you end up being probably obnoxious, arrogant, full of certitude. You feel, no, it's people, and people underneath you, if they're super good, they're not going to wait another 9 years. So I've said to everybody, 10 years max, 9 years likely to be the right number. Just bail out. Leave somebody else who's smarter, different from you, finish the job.
Now for a quick fire round. Everybody has a favorite hotel. And I know this is difficult for you, but could you pick one? For
sure, the Raffles in Singapore, which we just reopened. It is just beauty between elegance, chic, and history.
Do you make use of the late checkout option?
Quite a bit, and I'm furious when they tell me, of course, but we're going to overcharge you. Makes me really
It's outrageous.
Crazy. I know, it makes me crazy.
What are your top tips for frequent travelers?
Whenever I go to a hotel, and I sleep 200 nights a year in a hotel, don't ever close the curtains. I leave it open, and I force myself in the middle of the night, because I'm going to be awake because of jet lag. Don't look at your watch. Don't look at your phone. Look outside. If it's still dark, try to go back to sleep.
How do you relax and unwind?
In the plane, when the door closed, don't ever expect to reach me through Wi-Fi, because I keep lying to everybody by saying Wi-Fi doesn't work. I hate when people invade my life with a lot of bombarding emails because I need to respond because I'm on the flight.
If you weren't the CEO of a hotel group today, what would you be doing?
I'll be in a family office. I think I will spend 90% of my time with startups.
Sebastien, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Ciao.